Hi everyone, this video is about the Linux editor. So there's lots of different Linux editors out there, and it sounds a bit strange teaching you how to use an editor when you've got so much experience of using things like Microsoft Word and Notepad. They're all straightforward to use, but that's only because they've got a user interface, so everything's operated through menus and mouse clicks. Now obviously using the shell, we don't have a user interface, we're just using it from the command line. So using an editor from the command line is really quite a tricky thing to be able to do. So it means that jobs like saving and copying and pasting, etc., all have to be done from commands. So it's not as easy a task as it initially seems. Now there's lots of great editors out there that do have graphical user interfaces. So there's things like Sublime and Emacs, a whole list of them. Most of these are available through additional package installs. Now the reason why we're teaching you VI or Vim, which is just VI improved, is because this editor ships with all default Linux installations, regardless of the distribution, so not just Debian. Also it's available in all Unix systems as well. The benefit of this is that if you're going on a customer site, typically you will be plugged directly into a server where there is the core install. There won't be any user interface, which is why you've been learning all these command line options, and there won't be any additional editors installed. So it's really important that you know this core base editor, because if all else fails, if you're on site and you need to maybe change your program code, or you maybe need to edit an input file, this will be a lifesaver knowing these skills. Okay, so it is frustrating because it's difficult to use, but just bear with it because it will be of huge benefit to you in the future. Right, let's go and have a wee look at this just now. So I'm just going to log in. I'm just logging in as root, doesn't really matter who you're logged in as. So the first thing we need to do is actually create a file with some lines of text in it, and then we'll go through how we can do the kind of various common tasks you would normally do in an editor. So to start the editor, we use the command vi. If we have a file that we already want to open, then we can do vi space and then the name of the file, and it'll open that file in the editor for you. But we don't have our file created yet, so we're just going to say vi. So it gives you a sort of splash screen, and basically you can now go ahead and start to enter some text. So if you've read the slides, you'll see that VI works in two different modes. It works in command mode and it works in text input mode. So text input mode is for doing all your normal editing and manipulating of text, and command mode is used for performing operations on your text, so things like deleting lines, copying, pasting, searching, all those type of things. So first of all, we're going to use the text input mode so that we can actually type in some lines of text. So to insert some text into a file, we've got a couple of options. So we need to basically type a command to say that we're going to use text input mode. So to switch it into text input mode, we can use a lowercase I, which will allow us to insert text before the cursor. We could use an uppercase I, which allows us to insert text at the beginning of a line. Or we could use a lowercase a, which allows us to add text after the cursor, or an uppercase a, which allows us to add text to the end of the line. So basically the way I think about it is I for insert, a for append. And all these commands are in the slides as well. So I'm just going to use I. So I've just typed I, you can't see anything. But now, when I start typing other things, now they will actually appear on the screen. So I've hit I, and I'm going to start typing some data. So I'm just going to say, my name is... Now what I'd like you guys to do is actually just do this along with me, because I don't think you can appreciate how tricky it is to use the editor until you actually try it for yourself. So it's a good idea to do it along with me, because probably if you do it afterwards you'll forget a lot of the stuff that we've been through. So I'm just typing in a couple of lines of code, text, so that we've got something to work with. So just bear with me. So I'm just typing like I normally would, and if I make a mistake, I'm just going back, nothing fancy. Oops, if I can spell. Right, okay, that'll do. So that's me typed in some text. Now, at the moment, I am still in text input mode. So if I type anything, then for instance, I'm hitting the K key and it just will actually type that key. So if I want to come out of text input mode because I want to now do something with the text, like for instance, the first thing I should really do is save it, then I need to come into command mode. So to come into command mode, you hit the escape key on your keyboard. So it's always in the top left hand corner. So I've hit escape. So now if I'm thumping on my keyboard, you might be able to hear that, but you'll see that nothing's happening. Apart from I've just accidentally touched something. So I'm thumping my keyboard, and unless you hit magic keys, as I call them, that do special things, then you won't actually be able to type any more text. So nothing will happen because we're now in command mode. But in command modes, we can do quite a lot of useful things. So I'm just going to talk about some of the things we can do in command mode. So some of the basic stuff is you might want to move, for instance, to the end of a line. So to move to the end of a line, you just simply type in the dollar symbol. So I've just typed in dollar. It doesn't appear on the screen or anything like that. It doesn't change the content of your file, but you'll notice that the cursor's jumped to the end of the line. If I want to go back to the beginning of the line, then it's the wee hat symbol. So that takes us back to the beginning of the line. So they're quite useful commands to know. If you don't know them, then your arrow keys work. You can go forwards and backwards. It's no big deal. Same, your arrow keys will take you up and down as well. One thing that is useful is to go to a particular line number. So if you've written a script and you've ran it on the Linux system and it comes back with an error and it maybe says error line 3, first thing you want to do is actually go and find that line. So to go to a particular line in your file, you need to be in command mode, which we are just now. So we hit the escape key, so nothing's typing. So to go to a line, you put in the line number. So we put in 3, and then immediately afterwards you type a capital G, which just means go to. So that takes us to line 3. There's actually a blank line at the top of my file, which is why the second one is actually, the second line of text is actually the third line in the file. So now I've moved to line 3. So say on that line I decide that I want to delete a word. So I've maybe said the wrong thing. Say for instance, I don't want to say date. What I do is I take the cursor to the word, and I'm still in command mode. So I'm going to type in DW, so D followed by W, which basically means delete word, and it gets rid of it. So again, I'm just showing you the kind of most useful commands for editing. So we've went to a particular line, 3G, to go to line 3. We've now went into put the cursor in a word, and we've said DW to delete the word. What if we don't want to delete the whole word? What if we just want to delete a character? So to delete a character, move the cursor to the character you want to delete and hit X, just lowercase x, and it will remove. So I'm going to go back a space using my arrow key, and I'm going to hit X again to get rid of the quote. So X allows you to remove individual characters, DW to delete full words. Another thing that's actually quite useful is you might want to change a word. So let's change today to another word. So to change a word, you do CW, and you'll notice it comes up with a dollar symbol. This temporarily allows you to type in the new word. So instead of saying today, I'm going to say yesterday. And then once you've done, hit escape. So it's back into command mode. So that was CW to change word. So X to delete a single character, DW to delete a word, CW to change word. So the initials do stand for things, so it's not too obscure. But what I'll give you guys is a crib sheet to have sitting beside you with all these on them, so that you can refer to it really quickly, and just always have that beside you. So say we want to delete more than characters and words, we want to delete an entire line. So DD means delete line. So at the moment I'm in command mode, so I'm going to type D followed by another D, both lowercase, and you'll see that entire line's now gone. If I decide I didn't want to do that, I can hit U for undo. So typed in U and it's brought me that line back. Say I want to delete more than one line. I'm not going to do it because I don't want to get rid of half my file. But if I want to delete more than one line, I just put a number before DD. So say I wanted to delete 2 lines, I would say 2DD, type in 2DD and it would delete 2 lines, starting at the line where the cursor's positioned. So they're the kind of key things you want to be able to do. Speaking of going through files, another thing that's quite useful is to be able to search for something in a file. So again, you might have an error and you don't have a line number, but you've maybe got a word or something that you want to look for. So if you want to search for a file, search for a text string in a file, then you use /. Now, what will happen is when you use /, it'll actually appear down the bottom of your file. So I've just typed / and you can see it's appearing. So we're still in command mode. So after the slash, you type in the string you're searching for. So I'm going to type in is to search for all occurrences of is. And then you just hit return. Now I'm going to have to scroll back up. I've had to condense my screen so it fits in this recording area. So it's still in the same file. So you'll see that based on where the cursor currently was, it's went and it's found the first occurrence of is. If I want to keep looking for additional occurrences of is, then I just type n and it will take me to the next one. Do it again, so it's wrapped round to the front. So I keep typing in and it will just keep going through them. If I want to search back the way, then I can use N and it will do reverse search. So that's quite useful as well, because you might want to look for a particular piece of data within your file. So searching is pretty useful. Okay, another thing that we most commonly do when we're using editors is everybody uses cut and paste and copy and paste. It's one of the really most common behaviours. So it's important we learn how to do that in here as well. So to copy and paste, we put the cursor at the line we want to start copying. So this will move blocks of text, so it'll move it a line at a time. So let's say I want to copy the first 2 lines. So starting where my cursor is just now, I want to copy them and I want to put them at the end of the file. So to copy, first of all, understand that the copy command is called yank, okay, because we're yanking the lines of text and copying them somewhere else. So the actual command is YY, and that just means yank. So we need to first of all say how many lines we want to yank. So I'm going to yank 2 lines. So I type in 2YY. Now you don't see anything, nothing happens visibly. And then I move my cursor. So I'm going to put it down here. And then I'm going to paste. Now paste has 2 options. A lowercase p will paste it below the cursor. An uppercase p will paste it above the cursor. So I want it below, so I'm just going to use a lowercase p. And you'll see it's copied those 2 lines. Quite straightforward. I'm going to get rid of them now because I don't want them copied there. So to get rid of those 2 lines, I'm going to do 2DD and they disappear. Right, this time instead of copying and pasting, I'm going to cut and paste. So to cut, we use the DD command. We delete the lines and then we paste them. So copy is YY to yank and then P to paste. Delete to cut and paste, it's DD to delete the lines and then P to paste. So let's now this time cut the lines. So I say 2DD, so they disappear straight away. And then let's say I want to put them in the middle. You can put them anywhere you want, doesn't have to be at the end. And this time I'm going to use an uppercase P to put them above the cursor. So it's inserted them in there. So once you know what the commands are, it's not difficult, but it is quite a lot of things to learn. And the more you use it, the more you get used to it. So we just covered copy and paste. So the copy, remember, was YY and P for paste. And the cut and paste is DD to delete and then P for paste. Okay, so some of the commands are a bit more complex. and they require you to have the ability to actually type some information in to provide information for the command. So some commands are actually executed at a prompt that you can use within your file. So for the commands that work at the prompt, what we need to do is basically make sure we're in command mode, which we currently are. If you're not sure, hit the escape key, and you'll see if you try and type things, nothing will happen because you're not in text input mode. So to activate the command prompt, now this is a prompt within the file. You're not going back to the command line, you're not exiting the file. You're actually creating a command prompt inside the file, which you can then type more complex commands at. So all you need to do in command mode is you need to basically just type in a colon. And again, if we scroll down to the bottom, you'll see that if you try and type a colon, it will appear, but it will appear at the bottom of the file. So what commands can we type in here? Well, there's a whole list of them in the slides. There's lots of things you can do. I guess one of the ones we should really start with is to actually save the file. So to save the file, you use W for write, and then you need to give the file a name. So I'm just going to call it dondemo.txt, and then hit return, and you'll see it tells you that the file has been written to. Now, as soon as you execute the command, you'll see that the colon disappears. So if you want to do something else at the prompt, you need to put the colon back again. Another one that is really useful is, especially for us as programmers, is to actually put line numbers in your file, so that if you are getting errors at different locations, you can easily find the line. So to do that, you type in set and then space and then number, and then hit return. Now, again, you need to scroll up to see that that's taken effect. So there you go. So now I can see I've got 7 lines in my code. You can't edit the line numbers, and if I try and backspace across over to it using my arrow keys, it's in the border of the file, so it's not actually something you can edit. But it's really useful for us to have something like that if we're looking at code. If you get a bit annoyed and you don't want to see it anymore, then go back to the command prompt, so type your colon again. This time set, space, and then no number, and hit return. And then if you scroll back up, you'll see it's gone. So that's a useful wee tip, specifically for people that are writing scripts. So other things that we can do at the command prompts, we've looked at write. We can also, earlier on in the video, we looked at searching for strings. So one of the other common operations when you search for a string is to then replace it with something else. So to do a search and replace is a pretty useful thing to be able to do. So I thought I would include that as one of the things to teach you in the VI editor. So as you guys know, to search, you use the / and then you put in the string. The search and replace is a bit more of a complex command because you need to tell it what string you're searching for, what string you want to replace it with, whereabouts you want to do it in the file. Do you want to do it throughout the entire file or just a particular set of range of lines in the file? So we can actually configure this command quite a lot. So to use the search and replace, we need to go to the command prompt. So colon, let's go down here. So at the command prompt, we put in, first of all, the range of lines that we want to be included in the command, in the search and replace. So if you want to just do the first couple of lines, you could just say 1, 3. Start at line 1 and go as far as line 3. I'd like to do the whole file. So to do the whole file, start at line 1. And remember I told you earlier about the $, which basically means the end. So it can be the end of the file, the end of a line, but $, always means the end of something. So $1, means start at line 1 and go all the way to the end of the file. Then we need to say what we want to do with that range of lines, what command do we want to apply to it. So we want to apply a search and replace. So the command is just S. So we're going to search first of all for, I'm going to search for the word is because there's quite a few instances of is. Then we put another slash and we put in the string we want to replace it with. If we just left it as search for is, all it would do is the same as the search I taught you about earlier. It would just search for the string is. So we're saying search for is, then replace it with, and I'm going to replace it with uppercase is. Then what we have to do is add on a final part to this command, which basically says, do we want to force all replacements? So if you want to force the replacements without any confirmation, so in other words, if you wanted to just go ahead and do it without asking for each one, so you know yourself in Word, if you do a search and replace, it will take you through and say, do you want to replace this one? Do you want to replace this one? If you just want to replace them all, then you just put in G to say, yep, do it all. If you would like to confirm each one, then you use CG. So basically it means confirm every single replacement. So I don't want to have to do confirm every replacement. If I do that, then it basically asks me for each one and I have to type in Y or N. So I'm just going to say go ahead and just do it. So force the replacement. So just to recap on this line, we're at the command prompt, so we've got a colon. We've got the range that's included in the search and replace. So starting at line 1 all the way to the end of the file, which is symbolised by the $. S for search. Then we've got the search string, lowercase is. Then we've got the replacement string, uppercase is. And then I've got the command that says globally enforce this throughout the entire file. Then I hit return. So it's told me it's substituted 4 occurrences of is. So let's scroll up to have a wee look. So there we go. So you can see on line 2 we've got is Don Wilson, we've got yesterday is, this class is. Interestingly, you'll see that it has replaced the is in this. So if you wanted to get around that, you could actually put your search string in quotes, and you could put a space in front of the I and a space after the S, so that it would only find strings that are the word is on its own. So a space, I, S and another space. That's how you would get around that one. Okay, so the search and replace is a pretty useful thing to be able to do. So that about covers everything for VI. It is tricky. If you start to get into a bit of a state and kind of get lost in it, best advice is just always hit the escape key and it will take you back to command mode. Just before we finish, actually, I forgot something quite critical, how to actually quit. So to quit out of VI, you need to go to the command prompt, so you need to put in your colon, and you type Q. Now you've got two options. If you type Q, that means quit, and it'll ask you if you haven't already saved. So if you've got a file that's been changed, so I'll do it just now because I haven't saved since I did the replacement. It's saying no, I can't quit because you haven't saved. So if you want to save, then obviously you put in your colon again and you would do your W to save. If you decide that actually you just want to quit without saving, then, and you don't care about saving, you can force a quit by using the exclamation mark. So Q exclamation mark just means quit without saving. You know what, you don't care. And it'll come back to the command prompt. Just to show you, earlier on, I just launched VI just by typing VI. We've now got a file we've been editing. So if I want to reopen that file, VI and then the name of the file and hit return. And then it has opened it. It's just scrolled up off my screen. So let's go back up here. There you go. So there's my file. So hopefully that gives everybody a quick 101 tour. It is tricky to use until you get used to it. What the plan is moving forward is that you guys need to learn VI because it's a really good skill to learn. It will be included in the assessment for commands, the Linux commands assessment, which is outcome 2. Following outcome 2, we're going to be moving on to scripting, where we're going to be doing Python scripting in Linux. So while you've been practicing your Python, you've been using idle. So when we start to bring it into the Linux environment, obviously you need to use a Linux editor so that you're actually editing it on this Linux VirtualBox. Now, if you want to, you can continue with VI. However, what I would recommend is you do need your VI skills, but you probably, if you're really struggling with it, then what you can do and what I'm going to recommend is that people actually use the editor called Nano. And we'll have a wee look at that when we move into Python. It's a lot easier to use and it's more straightforward. But again, you can't guarantee it's always going to be installed. So that's why for now we need to always learn VI so that we're not in that situation. Okay, so that finishes off this video, guys. Again, please have a go at the activities. Try and even run this video again while you actually follow the same steps that I'm doing side by side, just to make sure you understand the difference between command mode and text input mode. As long as you remember for text input mode I to insert, then you won't get lost. Okay, right, I'm going to finish up the video, guys. Thanks for listening.